Welcome to the JAMODI Podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders, so let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it. Coaches, the JAMODI Podcast is powered by Shoot 360. The future of basketball has arrived in Dallas-Fort Worth. Shoot 360 combines the latest sports technology with the fundamentals of basketball skill development. The result is a one-of-a-kind video game-like basketball program designed to improve your shooting, dribbling, and passing. Visit shoot360dfw.com to learn more and register for your free 1-hour workout evaluation. Shoot 360, the future of basketball is here.
Yeah, we got into Don Meyer a little bit, but so kind of along those lines, if you had to choose, I know 3 is hard, but any number of characteristics that make a great coach, what would they be?
I think the greatest coaches, before I answer that, let me touch on this too, because I said, God has been so good to me through basketball, because I got to be around Coach Knight, who I idolized when I was younger. And when he came to Texas, I'm sorry, but I'm a Texas Tech Red Raider, man.
That's okay. I have no problem with Tech, none.
Well, I'm thankful that Coach Drew turned down Kentucky because I wasn't sure what Coach Mack would do, and we really love him. I hope we get him.
He is special. He's special.
Oh, yeah, he sure is.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got to know Coach Knight really well. He was nicer to me than he should have been. He had 2 camps every summer, and I worked his camps, every one of them until he retired, and then Pat took over. I got to be really good friends with Chris Beard. Through all that, man, I've been around some great coaches, Coach Meyer, Coach Knight, Coach Beard, now Coach Mack. I'm helping him with his camps, and it's really humbling. But here's what I think: demanding, like all of them are really demanding, not necessarily demeaning, but demanding, and they're consistent. Like every day, like a lot of us that are, so coaches, will be demanding on day 1, but day 3, or the day you come in from a long road trip, and so it's the next day, and you let things slide, And I think the great coaches are consistent about what the details that matter to them, they'd never let it slide. So demanding and consistency. And then I think they're a visionary. The greatest ones are. They see a vision of what this team can look like. And it's always different every year, because even if it's a piece, if it's a player, but now, the way things are in the portal, it's way different. But once they see this group together, they have a vision of what the end result can look like. And so that vision then drives all their practice plans, all the things, all the talks they have to about the team. Coach Meyer always talked, I think he attributed it to Dick Bennett, but see the picture, that's the vision. You got to sell the picture. So you got to make them believe in your vision, and then everybody paints the picture together. And then in the end, you have hopefully a masterpiece.
Coach, that's good. I've heard the see the vision, sell the vision. And I don't know if I've ever heard the third piece to it right there, but everybody painting it, that finishes that statement. Because if it's just me just selling it, well, now what do we do? I had my talk, but you're right. We are all co-creators of making that thing happen. Love those 3 things. And I think visionary jumped out at me with college basketball right now. And you alluded to you said the portal, and I think college coaches more than ever before have to be visionaries. Because they're starting over most time with brand new teams where they don't have the guys carrying the culture torch from previous years, or what these new players and almost the whole team don't know what the program stands for. So, not that they're ever lazy before it. So I don't mean that in any way, but I got to imagine that culture, vision of what the program is about, and that has to be on their mind more than ever before.
Yeah, it's such a dynamic time right now. Like things are changing constantly, and like look at John Calipari. It got him in trouble at Kentucky because he was still on the one and done guys. He had great freshmen, but now with the portal, coaches are bringing in experienced, mature guys that have been there, and you see more experienced teams, more times than not, playing it out in that first Monday in April.
Yeah, because you remember back to, maybe like 2013 or so, when Mercer beat Duke, and Mercer had that older team of guys. Duke was the young. It was kind of like the beginning of, wow, maybe an older, more experienced team can beat these one and done guys, these all-stars. But now you're right, with the portal, it's kind of like what junior college used to feel like. I think when Coach Bliss took over, like he went out and he got Terry Black and DeMarcus Minor, those kind of big JUCO names, because he wanted to be older, better, fast. Everybody can. It's easier now to make that happen.
Yeah, it is, and it's happened so quickly that there's some people that are on the forefront of it and they keep being successful, and then some are still trying to catch up.
That's a great nugget, though. Good to be on the forefront of, or at least have your eyes open to how either the game, how the culture around the game is shifting and moving. It's hard just to turn a blind eye to things, and especially when there can be advantages in growing and changing. But then, Coach, what's the balance between, I see the direction that this is going, but man, I still like the way I do it. The old way still works. That may be a hard question, but what are your thoughts?
That is a hard balance because, there are old proven ways, but you can't get stuck in those. And you can use some of those principles. And I think your principles don't have to change, but your style can change.
That's a great point, because like Nate Oates sold out to analytics. Even with the way that he subs players in and out, he says, "Hey, 2 fouls in the first half, players get fouls. Doesn't matter if it happens now or if it happens later. Like, why would I?" He said the analytics don't support that. I love it. He's like, I'm not going to be a coach that takes a guy player. So like, there's guys like him that they take those numbers and that money ball approach almost, and they're all about it. But then other guys that still allow the mid range, or a lot of their shots are considered good if they're mid range. It is. I like the way you said, though. Like most things, balance. Pick and choose what still works with your core as a coach, like not just be, I guess, reinventing yourself all the time, because players feel that, right? If you don't truly believe in what you're teaching.
Yeah, that's where it goes back to consistency as a coach, is that being you. And you can borrow from people and adopt ideas, but you can't just change and be somebody that you're not. Kids see phonies. They see through phonies probably easier than anything else. And so they know. And so you got to be you. You got to be real, but you also have to be that's where it comes into lifelong learning and being willing to change when you see something better.
I think that's a great maybe activity for a coach and their staff to do, is especially if you've been at the same place for more than 5 years. Look back 5 years ago. How are we different? In what ways are we the same? I ask my players at the end of every season, the seniors, 3 questions. What's something you like that we did? What's something that we did that we shouldn't do anymore? And what's something that you wish we did? And you can get a lot from that, but I think that's also helpful for your staff to think about. And I just speaking of myself, I can see some changes that we've made for the better, but then also good to think, oh man, maybe we've lost a few of those pieces of, the culture here, or the style of play, or the identity that made us special. Maybe we've lost it, but if you don't think about it or ask those questions, maybe you miss out.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think self-evaluation and self-scouting your team, your program, like you can get lost, as the tide keeps going. And I think you're right. You look back and think, golly, we used to like really believe in this, and Now we rarely talk about it or work on it.
You mentioned demanding a little bit ago, and I do love that quote, be demanding without demeaning. Watching select ball this last weekend with some of my players, and it wasn't their coach, who was actually Coach Mauser from Timber Creek, kind of a legend. He's coaching some of our guys, which is awesome. It was the opposing coach. And I mean, there was just a demeaning tone. And I think, man, I hate the times where I watch film and the volume's up and I hear, even in the middle of the game, the way it sounds. Because I think you can teach in a way that doesn't make the players feel bad about themselves. You can still get your point across, but demanding, my question to you is, how do you continue that? Because you nailed it. Easy on day one, maybe easy on day 3, 5, but halfway through the year in district play, how do you keep that level high?
Well, I think you have to hold yourself accountable. That's like you hold your players accountable. There are standards, and that's one of them. And so accountability is important. You have to be accountable to yourself, and you're accountable, like you're the leader. And so you're going to set the tone. It's not easy. I'm not trying to pretend that it is, but I think if you have a passion for what you do, and I still do, you're 40, I'm still really passionate about the game, about teaching the game. I think life's a team sport. And so I think we're teaching life lessons that the basketball class is, to me, the most important class they have all day. Now, you got to read and write. I get that. But the carryover as far as how you're going to handle adversity, because it's not a matter of if adversity is going to happen. In a game, it always does. But in life, it always will. And it takes on different faces, different forms. But the life lessons that they can learn through being on a team, playing a team sport. And to me, basketball is the greatest one of all time.
No, I feel the same way, and love the passion that you still have for it. And I think that's a goal of mine. Like kind of, again, looking back 5 years ago, in my short time or 16-year career, so not even close to 40, but I don't think the passion has changed. If anything, I think probably you feel like start to fall in love with it more and more. As believers, the challenge always to me is keep that love in the appropriate box. Where you rip open my chest, it's not a basketball there, because it's easy for that to happen. One thing I kind of jotted down about demanding is like being demanding of your players, setting a high bar, high expectations. It's outside of winning and losing. You can't only be demanding after losses. There's a negative piece to that. Let go of being demanding or having a high bar after wins, because that's where slippage happens. I think that special line or what maybe makes some coaches not better than others, I don't mean that, but coaches maybe in a different category, is that ability to be demanding regardless of outcome, because that's how your team continues to move forward. And when the year is done, no matter what your record was, maybe it gives you the best chance to still be successful.
Yeah, I think that's what, I don't know, several years ago, I stumbled onto it, stole it from somebody. You know how coaches are, but we try to play to standards and not to an opponent. The opponent is the game. And so we try to play to standards. And so it doesn't matter who that other team is, doesn't matter what's on their chest. We have a standard we want to play to. And if we don't attain that, we could have won, but that's not our standard. And so there's, consequences to that. Try to be competitive about everything and hold accountable and have consequences when the standard isn't met.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI Podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.